Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through, well, all the noise to bring you insights that actually matter. Today we're looking at something really fascinating. It kind of blends personal health, global economics, and even culture. We're talking about medical tourism, and specifically China's role, which is changing really fast. It's quite surprising. Yeah, for a long time, China was mostly known for its wealthier citizens going abroad for top-tier medical care. But that whole picture, it's flipping. So our mission today is to unpack why. Why is China becoming this, well, compelling place for international patients? What specific medical breakthroughs and maybe unique offerings are pulling people in? What are the practical steps if you were planning a trip? And of course, the opportunities and challenges ahead. To figure this out, we've looked at some great sources. There's a big analysis from ISRG publishers, detailed comparisons from Clinics and Call, visa guides, healthcare info for expats, and even real stories from patients on Reddit, plus industry reports looking at China's position in the market. So let's start right there with that big shift.
China going from sending patients out to bringing them in. What's fundamentally driving this turnaround?
It really is a fascinating pivot. And, it points to a real maturing of China's healthcare system. Historically, yeah, you're right. If you were well off in China and needed the absolute latest treatment, you'd probably look at the US, maybe Japan or Germany, established places. But that story is definitely changing, and pretty quickly, too. What's behind it? It's a mix of things, really, a powerful combination. First, you've got genuinely remarkable progress in China's own medical tech and research. They're catching up and even leading in some areas. Second, there's this growing international awareness and I'd say appeal of traditional Chinese medicine TCM. That's a pretty unique angle they have.
Right, TCM, that's a whole different approach.
Exactly. And third, and this is crucial, you have very deliberate government policies. They're strategically pushing this. Medical tourism actually is seen as a new engine for growth, for inbound tourism, especially after COVID-19. And it fits perfectly with their big Healthy China 2030 strategy.
The Healthy China 2030 plan. That's their national blueprint for health.
Yeah, precisely. It's about improving the whole population's health, integrating everything. So medical tourism slots right in as a high-value piece of that bigger picture.
That makes sense. So it's not just happening by accident. There's real strategic thinking behind it. Okay, so beyond why it's happening, let's talk about what they're offering that's getting so much attention. The medical specialties, and you mentioned efficiency, that seem to be turning heads. Let's maybe start with oncology.
Oncology is definitely a major highlight. China's become a global leader in CAR-T clinical trials.
Cell therapy, that's the one where they re-engineer your own immune cells, right?
Right.
To fight cancer.
Exactly. It's a revolutionary immunotherapy.
Yeah.
And the numbers are just huge. We're talking over 188 trials for leukemia, 234 for lymphoma, just those two. And there was even a phase 3 trial for gastric cancer. It showed a 40% improvement in survival over standard care. That's significant, a real breakthrough.
Wow, 40%.
Yeah. And hospitals like Go Broad Healthcare Group, they're right at the forefront. They specialize in these advanced therapies. They've done over 4,000 CRT cases, run more than 470 trials. It's serious stuff.
Those numbers are genuinely impressive. And I assume it's not just cancer care, right? The sources mentioned quite a range.
Oh, absolutely. The breadth and depth are really quite striking. Take cardiology, for example. Fuwai Hospital, a top institution, does over 7,600 heart surgeries every year. And their mortality rate, just 1.2%. That's right up there with the best outcomes in the U.S.
Okay, so quality isn't being sacrificed for volume.
Not in these leading centers, no. And then there's organ transplant. China runs the second largest program in the world. Over 120,000 organs donated between 2015 and 2022. Neurosurgery, too. Chinese surgeons have pioneered some really complex stuff. Microsurgery, awake brain surgery, cerebral angiography.
And it seems to go beyond just these incredibly complex procedures, too. What about things like stem cells or cosmetic surgery?
Good point. China is actually one of the few places actively offering stem cell treatments and regenerative medicine right now in a clinical setting. That's quite cutting edge. And yes, aesthetics too. Cities like Guangzhou and Chengdu, they're becoming known as hubs for cosmetic surgery. They're using advanced tech like 3D imaging for procedures like BBLs or eyelid surgery at places like Hanfei plastic surgery.
Even just high-end checkups seem to be a draw.
Definitely. Health management centers in big cities like Beijing and Shanghai offer these really personalized advanced screening packages. Cancer screening, cardiovascular risk, attracting international clients just for that. So what this really means for you, the listener, is potentially getting access to specialized care, innovative treatments, stuff that might just not be available, or at least not quickly, back home.
And you mentioned speed, the efficiency. That seems like a huge factor.
It's massive. Compared to the West, where you hear about these incredibly long waiting lists, China often offers really prompt access. There was this story from a British blogger, quite telling. They needed an MRI. In the UK, they were told a 26-week wait.
26 weeks? That's half a year.
Right. They went to Shanghai Ruijin Hospital and got the MRI immediately, same day. And we're hearing this from doctors in Beijing hospitals, too. More overseas patients are coming for major surgeries like tumor removals simply because the process is faster. They can avoid waits of, 3 months or more that are common in Europe or the US.
That kind of speed. It's not just convenient, is it? For some conditions, that's potentially life-saving.
Absolutely. That immediacy can change everything.
Okay, this is all fascinating. But here's the part that probably makes a lot of people sit up and take notice. The cost. The numbers we saw looked, well, almost too good to be true.
They are pretty eye-opening, aren't they? But generally, yes, medical treatment in China can be significantly less expensive. We're talking, on average, maybe 60% to 90% cheaper than in the United States for big things: cancer care, heart surgery, neurosurgery, transplants.
60 to 90%, that's huge.
It is, and it's not just compared to the US. Even compared to the UK's private system, prices in China can be 40% to 70% lower. These are game-changing differences for many patients.
Can you give us a couple of concrete examples just to really illustrate that difference?
Sure. Let's take chemotherapy. A session in China might range from, say, $1,000 to $3,000. In the US, you could be looking at $10,000 to $30,000, but that's often annually, so the per session cost is still way higher.
Okay.
Or cardiac bypass surgery, CABG. In China, maybe $15,000 to $35,000. In the US, that could be anywhere from $30,000 up to $200,000.
$200,000, that's just incredible.
It shows why the economic advantage is just so compelling for people.
We even saw some personal stories on Reddit that really hammered this home.
Yeah, those real-world examples are powerful.
Like the person who had an 8-day inpatient surgery in, I think it was a Tier 2 city, cost about 8,000 RMB, so roughly $1,000 US. And they pointed out that just getting an MRI in the US could cost more than their entire procedure cost in China.
Exactly. Or the other patient you mentioned, a hip replacement in Shanghai for 35,000 RMB, the same surgery in the US. $70,000, even with Medicaid involved. It's just vastly different.
Is there transparency around these costs? Because sometimes lower prices come with hidden fees.
That's a fair question, and it's something many top hospitals are addressing. A lot of the internationally focused ones, especially those accredited by the Joint Commission, the JCI.
Right, that's the international quality standard.
Exactly. Those JCI accredited places often provide really detailed cost estimates up front in English, covering everything from the first consultation to recovery before you start. So patients can actually plan their budget and hopefully avoid nasty surprises down the line.
Okay, so you get potentially cutting-edge care, faster access, and dramatically lower costs. But China also has this completely unique element, traditional Chinese medicine. How does TCM fit into this picture? Is it just an add-on or is it more central?
It's actually a really critical part of the appeal, and I'd argue a core competitive advantage. TCM, things like acupuncture, Tuina massage, herbal treatments, isn't just seen as an alternative. Its effectiveness, especially in managing chronic diseases, in rehabilitation, and just general wellness, is getting a lot of attention internationally.
So it broadens the appeal beyond just acute surgery.
Definitely. And it also functions as a kind of cultural soft power. It's a way to showcase China's unique heritage and therapeutic approach. It often gets integrated with cultural tourism experiences too. And there's this core philosophy within TCM. See, meeping.
What do you mean?
Basically, treating before disease strikes. It's about prevention, keeping people healthy in the first place, which, also helps lower overall healthcare costs in the long run.
That preventative idea, treating before disease, it really resonates now, doesn't it? Many Western systems are trying to shift more towards prevention.
They are, and China is actively promoting TCM globally. Through things like the Belt and Road Initiative, they're expanding its reach. You see places like the Hannanbao Lecheng International Medical Tourism Pilot Zone. It's specifically designed to integrate TCM services with modern medicine. They create these personalized plans for international patients, blending the best of both worlds.
A fusion approach. That's smart.
It's a very clear strategy. Leverage the ancient wisdom alongside the modern science.
Okay, so we've got the advanced tech, the cost savings, the unique TCM angle. Sounds really compelling. But let's get practical. If someone listening is actually thinking, maybe this is an option for me. What's the patient journey like? What kind of support is there?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The practical side. The good news is the infrastructure is growing. Many of the leading private hospitals and those geared towards international patients have dedicated international patient departments.
Okay, so specific teams to help foreigners.
Exactly. Their job is to smooth things out. They can help with visa applications, provide medical translation, schedule appointments, sometimes even remote video consults before you travel. They often handle airport pickups, help arrange accommodation, basically manage the logistics, which can be daunting in a foreign country.
And what about language? That's got to be a big hurdle for many.
It certainly can be. Mandarin is the official language, of course, but in the top-tier hospitals, especially those aiming for international patients, you'll find many doctors and nurses who speak English. Plus, they often provide professional interpreters for other major languages: Japanese, Korean, Russian, Arabic, French, and so on.
I think I read somewhere that nurses even use translation apps sometimes.
Yeah, we've seen reports of that. Staff using translation software on their phones to communicate clearly with patients. So while it's definitely something to consider, there are systems in place to help bridge that gap.
Okay, and visas. Are there specific medical visas, or do people just come on tourist visas?
There are specific options depending on the situation. The standard L visa, the tourist visa, might work for, minor things or elective procedures if you're staying less than 30 days. But for more serious surgery or treatments needing 30 to 180 days, there's the S2 visa. For that, you'd need confirmation of your medical appointment. And then for really complex, long-term critical care, over 180 days, there's an S1 visa. That one requires a full hospital treatment plan, proof of where you'll stay. It can be a bit more complex to get.
So different visas for different needs.
Right. And don't forget, there are also some visa-free policies for shorter stays, like transit visas, or specific 30-day policies for Hainan province, which might work for some types of medical visits.
Good to know. And what about paying for everything? Insurance.
Crucial planning point. Many of the big private and international hospitals have direct billing agreements set up with major global insurance companies.
Like who?
Think Cigna, Allianz, Aetna, AXA, Bupa, United Healthcare Global, the big names. So if you have a policy with one of them, the hospital might bill them directly.
But what if you're at a smaller place or a public hospital?
Then you need to be prepared. Cash in Chinese yuan is still useful in some places, but more importantly, mobile payments are king in China. WeChat Pay and Alipay are everywhere. You'll want to get those set up, and you can usually link them to international credit cards now. That's how most day-to-day transactions happen.
Okay, mobile payments. Got it. Now, we've heard a lot of the positives, but journeys aren't always smooth. What about the range of patient experiences? Are there downsides or challenges people report?
Absolutely, and it's important to have realistic expectations. It's not always a 5-star experience everywhere. While yes, some foreigners have incredibly positive stories, especially about efficient, low-cost care in public hospitals like that Reddit user's $1,000 surgery.
Yeah, they seem really impressed.
They did, but others definitely face challenges. Public hospitals can be very crowded. Hygiene standards might differ from what Western patients expect, things like maybe no soap or toilet paper in some public restrooms. And sometimes there are concerns about how clearly medical information is communicated or how transparent the process feels, particularly outside the top international wings.
Are there any sort of cultural differences in the actual medical approach that might surprise people?
Yes, one thing that comes up repeatedly in feedback is about pain management.
Oh, how so?
There seems to be a perception, or maybe a reality in some cases, that some Chinese doctors are more hesitant to prescribe strong pain medication compared to Western practice. There might be a cultural belief that too much painkiller hinders healing or masks important symptoms.
That's a really important thing to know beforehand.
Definitely. It's something potential patients should be aware of and probably discuss very clearly with their doctors during the planning stages to manage expectations and make sure their comfort needs are understood.
So China's clearly making a big push, building this sector. But what are the main hurdles they still need to clear to really cement their place as a top global medical tourism hub? What's the road ahead look like?
Well, looking at the bigger picture, they're definitely being proactive, not just reacting. But yeah, there are significant challenges. One is definitely international branding. They're up against established players. Thailand has effectively branded itself with the Smile medical concept. Singapore is known as an international medical center.
Right. They have strong identities.
Exactly. China needs a clearer, more unified global brand image for its medical tourism, something instantly recognizable.
And it's probably not just the slogan, right? It's the whole experience.
Precisely. That leads to the next point. Cross-cultural communication and service. It goes beyond just language. It's about really enhancing cultural sensitivity, understanding different patient expectations, different approaches to health, and integrating more smoothly with international insurance systems is key. It's about building that seamless, culturally aware journey to attract and keep patients coming back.
And building trust seems crucial too.
Absolutely vital. Addressing any concerns about patient rights, ensuring consistency in procedures across different hospitals, and getting more hospitals internationally accredited, like with JCI, beyond just the very top tier. That's all critical for building long-term global trust.
But it sounds like the government is really throwing its weight behind this.
They absolutely are. That policy support is a huge catalyst. It's baked into the Healthy China 2030 plan. And that Hainan pilot zone we mentioned, that's a perfect example. They've streamlined rules for foreign doctors to practice there, and they allow cutting-edge international drugs and medical devices to be used in the zone much faster without waiting for the full domestic approval process.
So removing barriers to entry for advanced tech and expertise.
Exactly. It shows a real long-term commitment.
So it's definitely an ambitious vision.
It really is. China seems determined to upgrade its whole healthcare industry, push TCM further onto the global stage, and play a bigger role in global health through collaboration. The challenges are real, no doubt, but the drive, the strategy, the policy backing, it suggests they're on a path that could really shake up global healthcare access and innovation in the coming years.
So just to wrap up, we've really dug into China's quite amazing transformation in the medical tourism world. We've seen how cutting-edge specialties, especially things like oncology and neurosurgery, are really driving this, combined with that incredible cost-effectiveness, potentially huge savings compared to the West.
And don't forget the unique angle of traditional Chinese medicine, plus that growing support system for international patients.
Right. So for you as a listener, what this all boils down to is that China is increasingly a serious option to consider for medical care. Whether it's highly specialized advanced stuff or maybe even more routine procedures, you might find shorter waits, definitely significant cost savings, and you get that chance for a deep cultural experience too, especially if you explore TCM. This is the thought, really. As China keeps improving its services for international patients, keeps building that global trust, how might this shift things? Not just for individual healthcare choices, but maybe for the future of global health collaboration itself. And making medical innovation more accessible around the world. It's definitely something fascinating to keep an eye on.